Thank you. Now my turn. One of your very close friends who writes a lot of your songs, Marilyn Bergman, said, Barbra is coming out of her cocoon. She's been in a cocoon for years and she's coming out of her cocoon.
Well, it is interesting. I'd rather read newspapers now than scripts. I'm more interested in the real world rather than the world of make-believe. In the world of make-believe, I control things. I can write the happy ending. I can make it come out the way I want. I'm sort of fascinated with real life.
Are you
real
telling
problems.
me that you're not going to try to control anymore, that Barbra Streisand can say, I'll just let it happen the way it happens?
Well, I go by, I say this to myself a lot, which has helped me through the last few times I've been performing, which is to get me out of my fear, which is let go and let God. And I'm nervous even doing this interview.
I know you are.
I'd like to, you know, acknowledge the fear, but do it anyway. And that has motivated me my whole life.
You know, in one of your songs, in the new album, there's a song that says, everybody says don't, forgive me if I start to sing, right? Everybody says don't, but I say do.
Right. It's my philosophy.
I can't remember an album of yours in which there isn't a song that says, they said I couldn't do it, but I could do it.
That's what feels very familiar. You know, whether it's cut your nose off, cut your nails off, caps your teeth, you know, change your name, change your face, change your this.
You're wrong there, and in Las Vegas.
It's a 15,000-seat theater, you know.
But why now? You haven't faced these fears,
right.
You just told me, 27 years.
There are many reasons. I think it's a challenge, you know. I think my fans, the public, they want to see me perform. It's almost like something they feel I withhold from them, and in a way, maybe I was. I've also given up a certain part of my perfectionism. In other words, I cannot be perfect.
They're paying you $20 million.
Well, that's rumor. I'm not going to tell you because I don't
But
believe
it's a huge amount. The highest amount that's ever been paid for such a performance. Does that matter?
Well, it's very flattering. It was like, wow, you would pay me that? Like even my mother said, why do they pay you so much to sing?
That's everybody's mother. You?
She said, why do they pay you so? I guess they like me, Mom, or they want me. But
did she really say, why do they pay you so much to sing?
yeah, why would they pay you so much to sing? But that's not the point. The thing basically is that I was ready to sing. I was ready to face this kind of fear, in a sense. The other thing is that I hate New Year's Eve. I've never liked it. This was perfect. I can avoid it, and yet be doing something that's, you know, that's good to do.
While we're talking about performing, there have been rumors that you may go on a world tour. Any possibility?
Well, I think that I want to see how I like doing this.
And if you like it?
Take 2 nights at a time.
Yeah.
If I like it, I might do that, because it's a way of touching people and have them touch me.
In general, in the last couple of years, you've spoken out much more. I mean, this woman who doesn't like to talk to the press, this woman who leads a very private life. You've talked to women's groups. You were very much in the forefront last year when Colorado had their anti-gay law.
They're interested in drama, in theatrics. I thought it was terribly unfair to invite us there only to trash us. And then you have the cynicism that comes out, because it's the first time in my whole life I had the time to spend a few days in Washington to see the things that I absolutely adore. Now I'm in Washington, I can finally visit Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's house. I went down to the basement of the National Archives and held George Washington's inaugural address in my hands. I held the Monroe Doctrine. I looked at the Louisiana Purchase, the Emancipation Proclamation. This was thrilling to me. To visit the White House is thrilling. And there's a sense of awe and history and importance. And I don't understand why that is looked at
now to direct or produce or star in are different from the ones you did in the past, where you were the comic or you sang. Now they seem to have a message. Do they? Are they chosen for that reason?
I think it's very difficult to direct movies because they take many years of one's life.
So what you're saying is if you do something now, it's got to be more important than just a
everything I do entails hard work. And yet, I don't want to trivialize fun and comedy. I mean, one of the movies I'm working on is called The Mirror Has Two Faces, and it's about the illusion of love. I guess I've always been fascinated by the mystery of appearances. You know, what people look like on the exterior and what's really going on inside.
What do you look like on the outside and what's on the inside, since you brought it up? A nice, easy question. You think you're good looking?
At times, I think I am.
Sexy?
At times.
Pretty?
At moments. Times.
And inside? Controlling. Obsessive. Yeah.
So boring.
Yes. Okay. But A, is
Isn't
it true?
it fashionable, fashionable to be controlling these days, no? You see, I don't find them insulting. I find it a compliment. My son was very articulate in a magazine about me. He was saying something about, I don't understand why my mother's wanting things to be right is a criticism. Why? Because she cares. Is that something wrong?
But Barbara, you are controlling. It does matter to you.
It does matter to me. I think that because I can't control life, I can't control people, I can control my art. When I'm making a movie, and I have a very specific idea of how it should be, let's say in Prince of Tides, I had all kinds of a very difficult camera setup to try to get the sun at the same time as the moon. So there were days we were filming and the camera, I was up to my pupik, as they say. That's my belly button, in English. You know,
you sound like the old Barbara 20 years ago.
I am the old Barbara, and I'm the new Barbara. I'm all the Barbaras. And then I couldn't get this shot, you know.
And you're sometimes very hard on others in your desire to have it just right.
Let me say this. I have a long way to go. I have a lot to learn. I want to feel like I've got to help better the world in some way. I've got to be of service, because this enriches my soul. This fills me up. It makes me feel good. But I also know that that I wish I were more compassionate, that I were more loving. I mean, if we could only love thy neighbor as thyself, if that just one thought could be adhered to, I mean, wouldn't this world be a much better place? Like, we cannot change the world. It's such an overwhelming feat. But yet, by changing ourselves, in this, each of us in a very small way, we change the world.
When you talk about love and love in general, do you want at this point in your life to be married? Is that something
you know,
that you
why do
think
you keep
about?
asking me this question?
Because, you know, it's
you
the kind of thing that I know people want to know.
1985.
I ask you every time I see you. And you haven't. You had one marriage when you were very young. And
right.
People want to know about that. People who care about you want to know a little about you. You know that.
Because it's, I think all people, including me, want to connect.
So the answer is yes, maybe.
No, there's not a maybe.
The answer is yes.
The answer is, of course. I believe in marriage in the institution.
And you've talked a good deal about the fact that your father died when you were
15 months.
15 months. Do you think you'd be a very different woman had he lived?
Oh, sure.
How?
I might not have been an artist. I might not have had the need to express myself, to live in my imagination, and I might have had a whole other life.
What you're saying is that if he had been there to nourish you so that you didn't have to live within yourself and prove yourself, this kind of drive might not have been there. You would have been a different girl.
Probably. You see, because I felt very unseen as a child, unlistened to, you know, I just never feel like I was paid any attention.
Your mother didn't give you that either.
I don't want to cause my mother any pain. My mother's going to be 85 years old. And, you know, in a sense, she did the best she could. And without her pushing me into, let's say, the school system, it might not have sparked this rebellion inside of me to do something the opposite. So in a way, you know, we are the products of our childhood.
Have you come to peace with your stepfather, who never knew you were there, to whom you said to me 8 years ago, I never had a conversation with?
Is that on your show?
Mm-hmm.
I never had a conversation, I don't know.
Did your stepfather live to see you a success?
It's interesting because I was in Funny Girl. I think I was 21 or 22 years old. I hadn't seen him. He and my mother separated when I was 13. I heard he was coming to see me in Funny Girl. And I did the performance for my stepfather. And he sent me a basket of candies that I guess it was 2 years ago. I threw out the jar. I said, why am I keeping this from this man?
Did he ever say anything to you? He say you're wonderful?
I don't remember words like that.
But for 2 years you kept, for 20 years you kept his candy. Not that it had any meaning in your life,
No.
not that you cared, not that it mattered,
No.
but for 20 years you kept the candy.
And then just threw it out and said, you know, I don't need this anymore.
Is there anything that you want to do that you haven't?
Oh,
the
there are lots of
acting is
things.
there, the
Sure.
singing is there,
Sure.
what?
I'd like to direct a Broadway play. I also love the classics. I'd still love to do sometime Strindberg, Chekhov, Ibsen, Shakespeare. All the things I loved as a child, as a 15, 16-year-old young actress who, you know, knew exactly how I wanted to play Romeo and Juliet. Well, now I'll get to direct someone else in it, but with my concept of how it should be played.
That tough question. How do you want to be remembered? Director? Actress? Singer? What?
All of the above.
What would you like it to say?
She contributed something to the world.